let's go ahead and get this game underway as we can move in now. Should be all good once OBS picks up the game. I don't know why it takes a few seconds to do that. But anyway, we're in, guys. We're in. And welcome to next qualification game between dogao and Tim right here. And I'm looking forward to this one because this is a super high caliber match as we go into C notes. And we have a Spanish war. Oh, this could be a great one, actually. Spanish War on a very open map can often lead to some very entertaining games because the Spanish are pretty interesting in the Feudal Age, since players don't want to overcommit to archers as they don't get the crossbowman upgrade in the Castle Age. So much more preferable playstyle for the Spanish is to do like a rush and a fast castle, get to the Castle Age. But since this is such an open map, C notes with the little ponds and the very small wood lines can be quite difficult to wall up. So we'll see how this one goes. To the right side of the map, we have in the blue dogao, the big dog, playing as the Spanish, and to the west of the map we have Tim playing as the Spanish as well in the red here. So this should be a really enjoyable game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. I do think that a quick look at the map tells us that Tim might have the easier time walling this one up if he wants to, and we know that Tim has one of two modes. Tim is either full waller mode or full all-in aggression mode. There's no in between. It's one or the other, one end of the spectrum or the other. So Tim's either going to take the time to wall up between these tree lines here and these tree lines here and create a nice safe haven for his villagers. You cannot neglect to give your villagers a safe space. Villager rights matter. But he could also decide, you know what, dogao's got a much more open map. His gold's much more forward. I'm going to come forwards and start tower rushing this and be a thorn in dogao's side. In fact, dogao's map is much worse than Tim's in terms of walling, but also resource positioning as well, with his berries and his gold being far forward. He doesn't actually have a back gold at all. Tim is in the land of the gold. He's got gold surrounding his town center. He's got one in the back. He's got one here. He's got two to the front. And dogao's got two to the front, and then that's it. The rest is way up in the north of the map, which is going to be super hard to control. And this could be a real problem for dogao if the game goes long as well. Dogao's going to need to get quite a bit of map control this game. So C notes is a little similar to Arabia in a sense, but the woodlines tend to be a little smaller, and you don't get the ponds in the woodlines. So in Arabia, sometimes you get oases, which is where the pond is part of the woodline. In C notes, the ponds are separate, and they are just around the map. They also make it really annoying to wall as well because they have the shallows in them, so they can be quite difficult to wall off. You have to make sure you wall against the actual water. But yeah, I mean, these shallows or these ponds, they're not in any terrible positions, and they're not going to be too annoying to the players, I think. Maybe this one in the south could be a bit annoying to dogao. But yeah, for now, let's see. I mean, Tim here coming in and grabbing a turkey. Gobble, gobble, and that's just going to be hidden away to the right of the map here, making sure that dogao doesn't grab that. Seems like Tim is looking pretty good with his scouting so far, but grabbing that turkey, denying a little bit of free food from dogao is nice. He's certainly not going to deny that, and he's also just missing out on an opportunity to lame this boar right here, as dogao will manage to pull that in just before Tim's scout shows up. Dogao, of course, doesn't have loom, so if Tim was able to get over there and do a couple of shots to that villager, she would not make it home. It just takes one single attack from the scout, or sorry, two attacks from the scout to stop that villager making it home there. Fortunately, dogao did have his scout nearby, and he will get the villager home, but at what cost? At the cost of his scout cavalry. Dogao committing to the fight with Tim, and it's incredibly hard to know who's ahead in a little fight like that because it's usually just like a couple of game ticks difference between when the damage is taken. And so as a result, Tim's going to walk away from that with 3 HP, and dogao's just going to narrowly lose his scout. And it's almost impossible to tell who's going to win the fight if both players start attacking each other at nearly identical times. Tim also making out with the turkey here, not literally, but I'm sure just figuratively, as he makes the turkey out the front of dogao's base and brings it home. yeah, for the time being, it looks pretty close as dogao is actually one villager ahead of Tim due to the fact that Tim has researched Loom, playing it safe, of course, with getting the boar in. Doesn't want to risk losing any villagers. dogao playing a little more risky, I guess, but he will get the finishing blow to Tim's scout, making sure that that doesn't live to tell another tale, as the scout will die to the TC there. Nicely done for dogao. dogao here dropping food at the what's it called? The mill. I'm guessing he's looking for the feudal age very quickly. 21 population feudal, as expected from both players, as they will be going for some very quick aggression. The question is, at the feudal age, what does that aggression look like? From Tim, it looks like we're going to see some towers, as almost anticipated at the start of this game. He's got one villager on gold as well. dogao, no villagers on the gold, no villagers on the stone. Oh, that's another point as well. His stone is really far forward as well. The stone to the south could be accessible for dogao later on, but yeah, the gold to the left, the stone to the left, he's walling it out even. So dogao here doesn't have a very nice map at all. And if Tim does trush or tower rush and deny the stone, it could be really hard for dogao to defend from that, especially since once he builds a single tower, he won't have access to stone to build anymore. So that could be a real problem for him as time goes by. Right now, though, yeah, Tim coming forward, as you can see, with the 5 villagers, and that first tower, I've no doubt it's going to come up near this stone, or at least on this wood line, pushing dogao away. And I fear that dogao might be playing a bit too much of a defensive game on a map that isn't very easily defensible. In fact, looking at dogao right now, I'm wondering if what his game plan is in the feudal age, because I'm guessing he's going to throw up an archery range or a stable, probably a stable. And this is the thing with the Spanish. You really don't want to commit to the archers because you don't have any future in the archers. You pretty much shoehorned into going into the stable, or you could go man-at-arms as well, I guess. But once you've started making some scouts, you've spent so much food, it's going to be really difficult to transition into something after that. So dogao adding the couple of scouts now, that's going to be great for the time being, but it's the transition out of the scouts that can be quite hard, especially if your opponent's tower rushing you and breaking your walls down and making it very difficult to wall up and keep your economy safe. So the tower on the wall, killing one villager, but also, more importantly, I think, breaking this palisade down so that Tim can break through and come in. Tim, with the 3 militia, might be tempted to do man-at-arms. In fact, he is doing it right now. And at the same time, with all of this map control, Tim is also taking the time to wall up. So Tim, not neglecting to wall, taking the opportunity, in fact, to do that. And that means that with the scouts that dogao is making, dogao doesn't have any opportunity to counterattack. He has to literally sit here and defend. And another layer of walls coming up now for dogao, but this is a big problem because both of the gold mines are walled out. dogao's going to have no access to this gold here unless he can get a tower up and defend it. But he's building it with 5 villagers. Tim is also building it with 5 villagers, and Tim's tower is going to go up first. So it looks to me like Tim getting off to a fantastic start, to say the least, and dogao here having a real hard time. Now, if Tim goes for more towers here, he can even deny the berries. He is going to be able to access, dogao is going to be able to access the stone at the back, and it's so fortunate that he has this stone here, but he is moving over very late. As I said before, oh no, the man-at-arms are going to make it through the wall. He didn't actually wall it off in time. Oh man, there's always a hole. This one piece of wall right here, looking at it from Tim's perspective, there's a single hole in the wall, and dogao didn't finish that in time there. That was a little, I wouldn't say sloppy, but a little bit unfortunate that he missed that, and as a result, those men-at-arms will make it through, and these villagers will be forced to run back to the TC. But more importantly, he's not got access to the stone, because the more towers Tim builds, the harder it's going to be to counter them and take them down. So dogao coming in with the 2 scouts that he built earlier, and as I said, he doesn't want to make too many scouts because it kills his food economy, but at the same time he doesn't want to make archers because he can't make crossbow in the castle age. So it's just such an awkward position. And I feel like even towers are probably the best option in this kind of position like this. dogao really having a hard time to get it together. It feels very messy, but at least he did take the tower down here by villager rushing it down. But still denied from stone. and these berries, or this berry bush, is now denied as well. But yeah, I mean, at the back of all this, Tim, he is going to have a better food economy. Looking at the resources of Tim, he has got more food in the bank. dogao might have a small amount of villager idle time. No, he won't. He's got enough farms to keep villagers here. It depends if he adds more scouts or not. If he queues another scout now, his TC is going to have to go idle, but he probably won't do that. I think he'll queue the villager instead. Yeah, doesn't want to let that TC fall idle at any time. But yeah, really, he's looking for the counter-attack. And as I said before, Tim has already walled it up. And there's no way that these scouts are going to get through this wall of Tim here. He's easily going to be able to re-wall behind it if they start attacking the wall piece. And so Tim is just in a fantastic position at the moment. He's added a couple of spears as well to support this forward army. And the scouts now, if they run against the spears, are going to have an impossible time as well. So Tim going to have a faster castle time, I feel. Though, you know, I might be wrong. He's actually got a few less farmers at the moment. He's got 6 farmers versus dogao's 11. So maybe dogao can pull out a decent castle time here as well. And if he can get castle, I think that's where a lifeline comes in for dogao. But until then, yeah, it's going to be real tough. He's going to lose another villager on this right side as he gets walled out. And Tim is going to drop yet another tower on this stone mine. And of course, dogao has to build a defensive tower here. Fortunately for him, he had just enough stone to afford this defensive tower. If he had 6 less or 7 less stone, this tower wouldn't go up, and then he'd have no access to stone again. So dogao really has to get this up, and he will, because he has more villagers building. But still, it's looking really rough for him. Look at this gold up here on the north. He's had to actually build the mining camp way out here. And I pointed out this gold early on. I said, you know, look at these 2 gold piles. If they get denied, where's dogao going to take gold? It has to be up here. And this is so far away. Now, it's incredibly unlikely that Tim's going to go check that gold. He's probably just going to assume that dogao isn't on gold at all. But even still, it's a risk, because as the game goes on, that gold is very exposed. dogao's scouts getting pretty low there as well as they try and take down the tower. That's not going to happen. And I feel like these scouts have really achieved nothing. That's 80 food apiece, and they've done nothing this game so far. I guess they helped to bring down this tower earlier, but it's not a lot. And Tim now looking very strong at this position. He has now caught up a little bit in farms as well. 13 farms for Tim, whilst dogao is on 15. I do think dogao will have the faster castle time, just about. Now he's got the gold at the north, he should be able to get to castle. But still, the pressure from the tower is certainly annoying, and he's still losing a couple of villas here or there as well. So, actually, population-wise, 36 pop for dogao, whilst Tim is on 43. So, Tim, I wish I had the spec overlay, I always say this, but Tim probably with a couple of extra villagers here. He's even going to go to town on this house. I wonder if this is going to pop lock him. Yep. dogao is pop capped, so he cannot build any more villages because the house went down. That's kind of funny. He's going to have to throw up a house quickly now, but that's going to cause him to be pop capped for a few moments, forcing him to get town watch, spending a little extra food. But the market blacksmith now coming up as he very nearly gets to 800 food here. As I say, once he gets to the castle age, he's got a bit of a lifeline, because he can build a siege workshop, he can clear out the towers, he could even go for a counter-attack with some knights if he can very quickly break through these palisades. But Tim is already, you know, taking the precaution of stone walling behind here, and he's building a second layer of walls with houses and markets and such. So dogao clicking up to castle a little bit faster than Tim. Tim's eco maybe not quite as well distributed. He does still have a lot of stone income, but that is for a reason, because Tim, okay, he's building a few towers, but he's not really going for the long-term goal of towers. He's going to go for a castle as soon as he hits the castle age and start making some conquistadors, and that's going to be super strong, especially if he builds the castle defensively and gets a couple of conquistadors out first. Then he can start raiding dogao, and it's going to be super hard to defend this kind of wood line back here. Now, from dogao, I'm interested to know what he's going to do when he gets to the castle age. There's actually still more towers coming up from Tim here. Keeping that pressure on. I love it. He's, I said before, there's no middle of the spectrum for Tim. It's one end or the other. He's either full defensive or full aggressive, but I think I've been proven wrong here, as Tim is getting super aggressive with the towers, but at the same time he's walling up very defensively at home. So another tower. This is a nice tower because it covers the farmers, and he's actually going to kill another villager from dogao here. In fact, I think he's focusing down on the villagers even as they hop into the tower for safety. But Tim, yeah, just continuing to come forward, and it's like, yep, let's just find another tower position. Just put one on here. And the thing is here as well, the more towers that he's forcing from dogao, it's going to take dogao longer to get a castle up as well, because every time he builds a tower, it's 125 stone that he has to spend, and 125 stone further away from a castle that he is. So dogao is going to hit the castle age first, let's say. Tim halfway up right now. And still mining out stone, but he's actually running out of stone here. He's going to have to move over to this one on the left side. Nice little efficiency of the mining camp, though. I just wanted to point that out. Getting 2 resources for the with 1 camp is very nice. Dogao Castle. Now, I'm expecting knights from dogao straight up here. There's 2. But he doesn't really have many villages on gold still. Only 4 villas on gold at the moment. And I'm wondering what his game plan after that's going to be. Now, dogao could look for a second TC. He could try and build up his eco a little bit, but it could be very risky, especially if Tim goes into conquistadors, because they can raid from a distance, and that can be very difficult to defend, even with the extra town centers. So yeah, we'll see if he commits quite heavily into the knights or not. The problem for dogao is that he can't easily break through Tim's wall. This is probably the weakest part of the wall. So the game isn't over. That's just part 1. We're going to load up part 2 right now and resume. There you go. Right from where we left off. And dogao here, as I say, adding in the 2 knights. He can easily add 3 or 4 knights right now. I'm just wondering if he's going to commit quite heavily into them or not. He is going to be able to clean this up, though. This small band of units from Tim. They're quite low health. He's going to garrison them in the tower for now, I guess. But yeah, I mean, dogao will start to push this back. Maybe a siege workshop to clear out the towers. He probably does want to get access to this gold at some point. But there's the castle from Tim. Tim, wasting no time getting that castle up. As I say, that's going to be one of the first things he's looking to do. I did not expect him to build it this ballsy, though. I didn't expect him to drop it on the front. But if you think about it, it does make a lot of sense. Tim walling his villagers in here with the house. He's got 3 towers, like triangular, not quite triangulated position, you know what I mean. They're supporting him, and dogao now bringing all the villagers off the line to build a tower in defense. This tower, the objective of this tower is to kill the villagers building the castle, but can he get it up in time? I don't know. Just HD things with the old pathfinding. None of these villagers want to to build the watchtower. Why is that? Because Tim's towers are attacking the villas as they try and build it. Dogao gonna lose a villager here, and that castle's going up. Now, I thought Tim might build that defensively, but this is amazing. Tim here actually going to be able to lock down this area of the map even longer and go straight into the conquistadors. Now, Tim's probably just going to stay on 1 TC here, but he could add a second TC as well if he likes. For now, though, a monastery to support this, and I love it. This is a lovely forward castle from Tim. It was actually a relatively safe move thanks to the 3 towers surrounding it. And I think dogao's castle, it's, well, nowhere in sight at the moment. Oh, wait, there it is. It's at the back. I was going to say, there's no way he's gathered all that stone already. But no, he has. He's been working overtime here in the stone mines, and he will be getting his own castle up. But it's by no means an ideal position for this castle at the back. Not a chance. I mean, this castle is so dangerously close to dogao's base. It's really difficult for dogao now to really push this one back. He's okay. This castle in the back as well. It's not stopping Tim from harassing any of these farms on the front. It's not stopping Tim from coming around this backside and killing the villagers with conquistadors. So already conquistadors going to work, killing 1 villager. This watchtower now, 5 villagers inside of it, basically hostage to the conquistadors of Tim. And with the monks coming in as well, Tim's going to be able to convert the knights. I think we might see that right now. Either that or the knights are going to suicide to the castle. You choose. Choose your own adventure. The knight's just going to get shredded here. No defense upgrades on them. All down to the castle, which has Fletching researched right now. Tim, sorry, not Tim. dogao adding in some conquistadors of his own, but it's currently 5 versus 2 as Tim comes over with some more. I think these 5 villagers might just die. Oh, this is such a sad end for them. They can see the end is nigh as they sit inside of their tower, and they're going to make a break for it as the conquistadors chase them down. Oh, it's a little brutal. It is more than a little brutal. Those villagers there getting slaughtered as they run away. dogao with 3 conquistadors in defense. He doesn't have the armor upgrade. The armor upgrade doesn't make a huge impact since the conquistadors hit so hard anyway, but it's still nice to have. Gives you a little bit more longevity. And Tim now with a siege workshop, immediately going to be queuing a mangonel and starting to aim at the TC, because why not? Like I said, this castle doesn't protect anything on the front of dogao's economy here, so he can immediately start to take down the TC. Now, I would have maybe gone for a mangonel, but battering ram will work as well to start to tear down this TC. And dogao just having to shift his whole economy backwards and rebuild back here. It's looking so rough for him right now. But, you know, this is such a brutal tournament in that if you lose one game, you're out. This is a best of 1, and dogao's certainly going to give it everything he's got before he calls GG here. But it is certainly looking like it's going to be a real mountain for dogao to climb to get back into this one. Villagers going down in the woodline. Like I said before, this castle doesn't really protect much because the conquistadors have the range to play with. So a little fight here. I mean, Tim's getting a little trapped, I guess, and he should end up coming out on top anyway because he does have better numbers. He's actually able to get in close and one-shot the conquistadors from dogao. Mangonel out, though. One good shot here. Not going to happen, and the mangonel is going to go down. And that's part of the reason why Tim's actually opting for rams here. And that's because the conquistadors actually take down the mangonels super quick. So what a great trade for Tim. A mangonel for free, bunch of conquistadors, and it cost him very little. And now we've got the ram train coming out as well. 3 rams going in for the TC, and Tim just doesn't stop. He has added in the second TC like I speculated earlier. I actually think Tim's going to drop a second castle in a second. And I would love to see Tim make the ultimate BM move and kill this TC and then build a castle in its place. He's nearly got the stone he needs, and he's ram rushing it down now. And with the support of the conquistadors, there's no way that dogao can stop these rams from taking it down. So there you go. G to the G. And dogao going to call it right there. What a rough game for dogao. What an absolute horrendous game for him. That was so tough. Tim just super high aggression, but he didn't leave himself exposed at home. And that was the key. Because if dogao was able to counterattack, that would have really made it harder for Tim to keep the aggression up. But as it stands, Tim played it safe. But at the same time, this aggression was so well executed. First locking down the stone to prevent dogao building additional defensive towers. Then locking out the gold. Then attempting to lock out the second stone, which he nearly did. And imagine if Tim had locked down this stone as well. dogao wouldn't have been able to build the castle, which was really his lifeline in that game. The knights from dogao wasn't able to achieve anything. As I kind of speculated earlier, the knights, I mean, what could they really do? There was only one weak point in Tim's wall, and by the time the knights came out, he'd walled it up with stone anyway, and there's no way the knights are getting through a stone wall. So they did a little bit of damage, but overall they died to the castle, and they're fodder to the conquistadors. Tim, in the end, with the ram rush, no real way for dogao to stop that, and a great game from Tim. Really nice aggressive game from him, and just look at the KD for Tim right there. 29 units killed with only 7 units lost. That is a great ratio for him, and you know, the largest army, twice the largest army, but the actual ratio of units killed to lost was great. And I think a lot of those units killed were villagers as well, which was really hurting dogao's eco. As you can see by the economy stats, Tim was just ahead in everything there. 1,000 extra gold, that's huge for a fairly short game.